Every month, like clockwork, the checks arrived. 12% a year, paid out of the humblest machine in America, the one that spits out $20 bills at the gas station. 2,700 people handed over their savings for a piece of a nationwide ATM empire. Teachers, farmers, retirees, entire families from Pennsylvania Dutch country recruited around kitchen tables and after church on Sunday. $770 million. Then, in April 2024, the checks just stopped. No warning, no explanation. And when investigators finally opened the books, prosecutors say they found something staggering. The profits those investors were promised weren't coming from ATMs at all. This is the story of Daryl Heller and what federal prosecutors call one of the largest Ponzi schemes in Pennsylvania history. Stay with me, because the way this thing unraveled tells you exactly how the next one will too. Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, rolling farmland, covered bridges, tight-knit churches, and a business culture built on a handshake and a reputation. This is not Wall Street. Out here, trust isn't a legal document, it's currency. And by the mid-2010s, few people held more of it than Daryl Heller. A homegrown entrepreneur from the small town of Lititz, Heller had his name on a portfolio of local ventures and a reputation as a builder of businesses, of real estate, of community. He wasn't a stranger cold calling from Manhattan. He was the guy you saw around town. So when Heller's company offered neighbors the chance to invest in something as simple and solid as cash machines, it didn't feel like a gamble. It felt like buying a piece of Main Street itself. Starting in 2017, his firm Prestige Investment Group began raising money for a series of ATM funds. The pitch was beautifully, dangerously simple. Your money buys ATMs. People withdraw cash and pay fees. You collect those fees as fixed monthly distributions, roughly 12% a year, month after month, backed by physical machines you could theoretically go visit. Steel boxes full of cash. What could be safer? And here's the thing, for 7 years, the machine worked. The payments landed every single month, on time, exactly as promised. According to the SEC, more than $770 million flowed in from roughly 2,700 investors. And listen to who they were. Not hedge funds. Not institutions. Retail investors, people rolling over retirement accounts, families pooling savings, small business owners, referrals passed from brother to sister to neighbor to pastor. The operating company, Paramount Management Group, claimed to run one of the largest privately held ATM networks in the United States. Investors received statements showing their machines. They received payments that matched the promises. And so they did what satisfied customers everywhere. They told their friends. That is the engine inside every great financial scheme ever built. Nothing on earth sells like a check that actually arrives. Each on-time payment wasn't just income. It was proof. Proof that silenced doubts. Proof that recruited the next investor. Proof that made questioning the returns feel almost rude. But according to federal prosecutors, the empire investors were told about didn't match reality. The SEC alleges Paramount's actual ATM fleet was dramatically smaller and dramatically less profitable than advertised. Machines were double counted or underperforming, and the fee income from real withdrawals covered only a fraction of what was being paid out. So if the machines weren't generating those 12% returns, where exactly was the money coming from? Prosecutors say the answer was sitting in plain sight, buried in the fund's own cash flows. Money from brand new investors going right back out the door, relabeled as profits for earlier investors. A financial treadmill. And a treadmill like that only works while it keeps speeding up, while fresh money keeps pouring in faster than the payouts pour out. Remember that. Because in the spring of 2024, the treadmill stopped. The SEC's complaint describes a machine very different from the one investors thought they owned. Those reliable monthly distributions were allegedly funded primarily by two sources, AU, and neither of them was ATM fees. Source 1, money from new investors. Source 2, high interest, short-term loans, taken on to plug the gap whenever new money slowed down. Think about what that second one means. According to regulators, the scheme was so far underwater that it was borrowing expensive money just to keep up the appearance of profits, debt stacked on top of deception, with interest compounding against investors who had no idea. That is the textbook anatomy of a Ponzi structure. A payout engine with no real earnings underneath it, burning fuel it has to keep buying. And while investors believed their capital was sitting inside steel boxes across America, prosecutors allege Heller diverted more than $185 million of investor funds for other purposes. Where did it go? According to the SEC, into his web of other business ventures, And, in one detail that stings more than the rest, into a beach house. Sit with that asymmetry for a second. A retired couple in Lancaster County, staking their life savings on 12% a year, checking the mailbox each month. And on the other side of the ledger, prosecutors say, 9 figures of their money quietly flowing sideways, propping up unrelated companies, buying coastal real estate. All of it wrapped in the language of community, faith, and mutual trust. The very things that make a place like Lancaster County home are the things that made it, for an alleged fraudster, the perfect hunting ground. Because in a community built on trust, nobody wants to be the one who asks the rude question. Every Ponzi structure ever built dies from the same math problem. Every new investor you recruit to pay the old ones becomes someone you owe next month. The payout obligation grows with every dollar raised, which means the scheme needs exponentially more money just to stand still. It's not a question of if the music stops, only when. By early 2024, prosecutors say the numbers had gone terminal. The monthly payouts had outgrown everything coming in, and even the high-interest loans couldn't bridge the gap anymore. In April 2024, Paramount simply stopped paying. Just like that. For 20,700 families, the check that had arrived for years, the check that had been proof, didn't come. Then it didn't come in May. Then came the reassurances. Payments would resume shortly. Investors would be made whole. Buyouts were being arranged. According to the indictment, those payments never came. Not one more. Panic spread through Lancaster County along the exact same channels the investment had, through churches, family dinners, school parking lots, and word of mouth. And here is the cruelest part of affinity fraud. The people who had enthusiastically referred their own parents, siblings, and best friends now had to look them in the eye. The community that trust built was watching trust burn to the ground. And when investigators finally put a number on the damage, it wasn't the $770 million that had flowed in. It was what remained unaccounted for, vanished from the accounts of ordinary families. Roughly $400 million. Gone. Then, one December morning, federal agents made their move. Daryl Heller, 55 years old, of Lititz, Pennsylvania, was arrested and indicted on 1 count of securities fraud and 4 counts of wire fraud. The SEC filed parallel civil charges against Heller, Prestige, and Paramount AU, seeking to claw back what it calls ill-gotten gains, and to ban him for life from ever serving as an officer or director of a public company. A federal judge later found him in civil contempt, and the blast radius kept widening. Class action lawsuits were filed against his business partners. Then investors turned their fire on a bigger target: the banks. Lawsuits in Lancaster County now ask a very uncomfortable question. How does $750 million flow through regulated financial institutions for 7 years without anyone raising a flag? Now Heller has pleaded not guilty, and that matters. Everything in the indictment is an allegation, and he is entitled to his day in court. But even the trial tells you something about the scale of this case. It was originally scheduled for April 2026 AU, and his own defense argued the evidence was simply too massive to review in time. The proceedings are now expected in late 2026. 2,700 investors are waiting. So is an entire county. Whatever verdict a jury eventually reaches, the lesson is already final for the families involved, AU. And it's a lesson worth taking personally. Notice what this scheme did not need. No crypto tokens. No offshore shell games. No exotic derivatives that require a PhD to misunderstand. Just ATMs. Oh, boring, physical, touchable machines. Oh, and a man everybody knew. The most dangerous pitch is never the exotic one. It's the familiar one, delivered by a familiar face, paying familiar returns, right up until the day it doesn't. So take the red flags with you. 12% a year, guaranteed and fixed from a private fund? That number alone should stop you. Real yields fluctuate. Real businesses have bad months, and if the checks are perfect, the books usually aren't. Returns that never miss are not a sign of skill. They're a sign of manufacturing. And everyone I know is in it is not due diligence in a Ponzi structure. Everyone you know being in it is literally the fuel. Ask for audited financials. Ask who the custodian is. Ask what happens if new investment stops tomorrow. The rude questions are the ones that save you. The Heller trial is expected to begin in late 2026. And when the verdict lands, we'll break it down right here. The evidence, the defense, and what happens to the 400 million. If this story hit close to home, the comments are open. Have you ever been pitched a deal that was guaranteed? What made you walk away, or wish you had? Subscribe for the next investigation. Financial crimes hiding in plain sight told with the receipts. Because the next Daryl Heller is out there right now, and he probably seems like a great guy.